What happens when God interrupts your plans and places you in a role that you never saw coming? Well, today's guest knows firsthand, and her story will inspire you to embrace the unexpected plot twist in your own life with faith and flexibility. My friend Karen Abercrombie is a veteran actress, speaker, and producer, best known for her iconic portrayal of Miss Clara in the hit film The War Room. But the path to that career-defining role was anything but straightforward. Karen discovered her love for storytelling and make-believe early in life, using her imagination as an escape from the pain and brokenness in her childhood home. She turned to partying and destructive habits as a teenager, but never lost her desire to create a different future. Through a series of divine appointments and doors that only God could open, Karen eventually made her way to Hollywood. She worked steadily in the industry for years until suddenly the Miss Clara role thrust her into the spotlight in a whole new way. Overnight, everyone wanted Kara to be their version of the praying powerhouse. It was a sweet season of influence, but it quickly became clear that God had other plans for her gifts. Though she resisted it at first, Karen finally surrendered to the call to start her own production company and bring original, redemptive content to the screen. Today, Karen continues to act, speak, and develop projects that bring light into the darkness. She is passionate about leaving a legacy of excellence, worship, and empowerment that will impact generations to come. If you've ever felt pigeonholed, typecast, or stuck in a story that you didn't choose, Karen's journey will encourage you to trust God's authorship in every scene. Her humor, wisdom, and unshakable faith will leave you inspired to dream bigger, pray harder, and pursue your unique purpose with holy confidence. Enjoy. Trust me, I get it. You're feeling the pressure to keep your faith separate from your work, worried that pursuing your God-given dreams might be seen as selfish or misguided. Here's what I've discovered. Our faith isn't a liability in our leadership. As a matter of fact, it's the source of our strength and wisdom. The real challenge is navigating how to boldly pursue our purpose while staying anchored in our faith. And that's exactly what the Beacon Show is all about. Each week, we bring you biblical wisdom and practical strategies from true beacons, Christian leaders who are illuminating the world. And it's also that you can let your light shine brighter and brighter. I'm Tamara Jackson, and this is The Beacon Show. Karen, welcome to The Beacon Show, where wisdom meets faith and success finds its voice. Thank you so much for making the time to sit down with us and allow us to talk about your life, your leadership, and your legacy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the invite. Love what you're doing, and I'm certainly glad to be here. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Well, Karen, I'd love to really start at the beginning. You wear so many hats today. You've made such an impact in film and TV, many of the things that people know about you and admire. But what they may not know is how you grew up. So can you take us back to your childhood? What was childhood like for you? Like, did you always know that these are the things that you would do? Or is this kind of a surprise from what you saw for yourself back then?
No, I can't say that it is a big surprise. I always had a vivid imagination. And from what I was told, because I don't remember, is that for quite a while, I had an imaginary friend. And, now I'm wondering, who was that imaginary friend? Was it Jesus right there? Was it an angel? What? But I know that it was there to just help to comfort me and be with me and whatever. I grew up second born to my mom and dad, and steel mill family outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And good people, good family. And at some point, my dad, he came down with multiple sclerosis, and things just started to change. He started drinking a lot. My mother, she drank, and then drugs and such. But I'm sure that it was my imagination that allowed me to step away from a situation to see myself somewhere else, doing something else. And oh boy, am I so grateful for that. And that's one of the things that I want to do today. I'm jumping around a little bit, but I ran a children's theater company for many years, and that was one of the reasons too. Where I grew up, we had a community. It was a village. So when my mom was gone and drunk somewhere or whatever, Miss Daisy or Miss Emily or Miss Peggy, you know, they had their eyes out. But that's when a village was a village. We don't have those villages anymore. It's a me, I, mine society. So with the Children's Theater Company, the kids were able to come. They had a safe place to be creative and just be free to dream and imagine, no matter what their family life was like, because some of them were from very wealthy families. But we always prayed before, and then sometime we'd, pray for each other, and then you'd hear these things that we all have in common. My mom, my dad, because it was a safe place. So we need those safe places. Now, I've got this children's television show that I had written when I was living out in LA many, many, many years ago, and put it to the side. And God has just been urging me to pick it back up and do something with it. And I am doing that. It's called the Kids Book Club. And we've got generations of kids who have been raised by broken people who were not able to see themselves lifted up and doing other than what they were born into. So then you've got generations of people who aren't aware of their full potential. Matter of fact, they don't even think they have any value. And I personally believe that that is why in certain neighborhoods, it's easy for somebody to have a disagreement and just pick up a gun and shoot somebody who's standing across from them that looks like them, because they feel that they have no value. So they don't see value in that other person either. But in this children's television show, we're going to teach a lot of things. Hopefully just, I want kids reading books so quickly they run off the shelf, because we want to ignite the imagination, and we want them to have the ability to dream. We want them to be filled with hope and see dreaming. Imagination can do all of that. Where I grew up, the population, it was a mixed population, but I ended up going to a school that was predominantly Caucasian. And so the books that we read, I didn't know what I know now about the contributions that African Americans made to society, not just in America, but the world. And because there were usually very small things or negative things, or we were slaves, we were this, that, but still, even in all that oppression and pain, we were still creating and inventing. And to me, that's like, oh my gosh, so it is imperative right now that I interject, that I pour this knowledge lovingly on our children, and not just our children, because all children are our children, really. Because on the other hand, the kids that come from generations that had the higher, whatever you want to call it, certainly a better lifestyle, and opportunities, they didn't know what we had done either. So it sort of stolen something from them. And I believe that when we come together and we see that we have so much in common, then there is common ground. And then we can have conversations, and then we're not so separate, and then we don't have that dividing us. And when I can respect you just because, and not look down on you just because, we can do some incredible things in this world. I believe that we belong to each other. And the sooner that we come to realize that, the better, not just our communities and America, but the entire world will be. Yeah, it's called the Kids Book Club, kids from 7 to 8. I've got a puppet. His name is Baxter. He sings. He's amazing. And he spits facts. And he's a lot of fun. And then I have a couple of kids. I'm auditioning some kids right now. So we're going to have Native American. We're going to have African American. We're going to have Caucasian. We're going to have Asian. And we are going to be sharing all kinds of wonderful facts and things about all of us, you know, that we benefit from. And unity is what we all need. And I believe that God knew exactly what he was doing when he created all of us, without a doubt. And if we could just drop some of the stuff we carry and push on, then we can really be about his business.
Wow. As I hear you sharing, Karen, I don't know the circumstances in which this project got pushed to the side or delayed, but all I am hearing is this is perfect timing from my point of view.
Girl,
look at the world today and how divided we are, even in church circles. It breaks my heart. We have gotten so far away.
It breaks my heart. And it would have to be a different show where I could tell you, because I played Miss Clara, and that's just a whole God thing, because I was able to get out of his way and let him work through me. And I had to do that. That it allowed me in all kinds of churches all over the world. And so I am very observant because I'm an actress, and I'm watching some stuff, girl. Like, come on, y'all, where's the love? What? Huh? Where's the love? You know, where is the love? They're treating me because I'm the quote unquote celebrity guest speaker just fine, but I'm watching how they're treating
everyone else.
Miss Mary, who might not be able to write a big tithing check.
Wow.
But she's given what she can, even in making the choice to do that and not have food in the cupboard or her lights on.
How did we get here?
Girl, yes.
But maybe it's a sign of the times. Yet I'm thankful that you are moving in this direction with show. And as I heard you sharing, it sounds like you're viewing this as an opportunity to help other kids that maybe were like you when you were young, and really needed some guidance, needed some direction, needed to know that they mattered. What was that for you? You know, who came alongside you, or how did you start putting those pieces together? Or was it just Spirit speaking to you? What was that like?
It must have been the Spirit, because I would get all the kids in my neighborhood together and we would create shows, and I would give her role, him his role. And we put on shows, and then when we saw Elvis Presley or Bye Bye Birdie or whatever, we reenacted in the streets, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful thing. So it was just something that was always in me, and I know that God used it. it saved my life, and it's allowing me to save other people's lives.
Mhm. Yeah. So guide us through, how did you go from pulling the kids in the neighborhood together and putting on your own productions to ending up on screen? How did you, and it almost sounds like, yeah, it does sound like a miracle to go from what you grew up in to all the things that you've been able to do now. How did it happen?
I don't know. All I can say, it's a God thing, from the very foundations, from the very first thought he had of me. He knew, like, for all of us, what he wanted me to do. And mine is this type of creativity. I just always, I was a great athlete as well, but this thing, loved it. It's like breathing in and out. And so it took me a minute to get that clarification on that. I was going to go to school to be a psychiatrist because it was
Interesting.
it was a sensible thing to do.
Yeah.
But girl, every time I had a free moment, I was trying to find out who had an audition.
Wow.
Where could I audition? Where could I, and then eventually I left the University of Pittsburgh and I auditioned for a school in New York City and didn't know anybody, but just kept going. And he just kept providing and protecting me from me and everybody else. And so, yeah. So
protecting me from me. Sometimes that's hard to admit that we get in our own way. Looking back, how do you feel that you were getting in your own way back then?
Oh, the way I grew up, my household, my mom, when we became teenagers, it was fine to smoke pot in the house and all that stuff. And so I never really enjoyed it, but it was a way that I could be with everybody else. Mm-hmm. How you get involved in something that you don't even like, but to be social, to fit in, and all of that. So, all of that. So then it becomes what you do. Party girl, Yeah. Fun, fitting in. Oh, and many times, and I still speak to women today because I speak all over the world, but some women are still trying to fit in. And I'm like, no, you are more than enough. You were born more than enough.
Yeah.
You just have to take.
Yeah. As you spoke there, you reminded me of a post that I saw on your socials. I can't remember if it was Facebook or Instagram, but you were talking about your hair and how you were going to let it be gray, and you were embracing that. And that just comes to mind as you share, right? In to each its own. I have certainly had moments where I dyed my hair. I got some gray hair shout coming through now, but it's just this spirit about you that says, I'm okay the way I am. I don't need to change into something else. I can be authentically me. And you want to encourage other people to do that as well.
I do. And it is a journey, because as soon as I post something like that, then somebody wants me to use my short hair in a film project, but rinse it. And so I have, again, but whatever, I'm good. I am good. And the sooner we can say, yeah, we're good with us, the way that God made us. And, so you grow your hair, you cut your hair. It's gray, it's blonde, it's whatever at this moment. But just that you, that real you, that deep down inside, authentic you, that we realize just how an incredible creator God is, and that he knew what he was doing. I mean, we're talking about the God that hung the sun, the moon, the stars, and the purposes that they have. And every day they do what they're to do. Every night that moon is rising where we need it, as the sun goes down somewhere else. It's just like, So some of the lessons the most important lessons we need to learn are right outside our windows. It's so simple, and God keeps telling us and showing us, but we're just looking elsewhere. We're taught to look elsewhere outside of ourselves, outside of God, for our own value and stuff. But honey, everything we need is already here. Just like if we were connected to the earth like our ancestors used to be, then we wouldn't need that prescription. We run right down that field and we get a couple of those leaves. Then we get a little bit of that. And we put on a big pot and start boiling up some stuff. Everybody in the house is good, you know. Yeah. Back to the basics. Take a walk. Nature is a healer. That sun, that vitamin D, the other stuff, just listening to a bird's song. It does something to the spirit.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Wow. Let's talk about that a little bit, Karen. Maybe you wear a lot of hats. You're doing a lot, but I can tell that you are very intentional about making time and space to enjoy nature, to take care of yourself. How do you do that?
Make it a point, because when I started my production company, it was out of necessity, honey. After Miss Clara, everybody wanted me to play their version of Miss Clara in their film, whether it was faith-based, horror, whatever it was. So I started getting all this. And I go in my prayer room like, God, I can do a lot of things I'm classically trained. You know how you gifted me? I'm going in there crying. And eventually he started this story stirring in my spirit. And you'll see how everything that happens to you, I'm veering off a little bit because I never thought about it this way. Everything that happens to you, you think that you got the short end of the stick when you realize it was a stick that was about to lead you or be a part of a lesson that will help you be better at this junction when you get there. For example, with my mom being gone a lot and drunk and whatnot, then I became like little Betty homemaker. So learn how to cook, take care of the kids, make sure they get to school, and then I have to be ready to go to school too, And I was like, I will never, ever have kids. I will never have kids. Girl, I love kids so much. And it's so crazy. And even when I was partying, even when I was in my party phase, little kids from the neighborhood would knock on the door and ask my mother, Miss Audrey, can Karen come out and play? So then, from that ended up fostering and teaching kids and whatever. But see, everything that happens, like he can take it, he can flip that script and use it for good. And your prosperity, somebody else's prosperity, to bless whoever comes in your circle, those things that seem so small. So anyway, the first film that I wrote, it's called Discarded Things, but it's about a music therapist from a university, hoity-toity. She falls on some bad times, and then the only job she can get is at a not necessarily a halfway house, but where kids have aged out of the system. And she falls on a little problem herself, a little drug problem, after her husband dies, and she's dropping pills and drinking wine and whatever. So anyway, she loses the job. But together they heal. And so these different kids, red, yellow, black, white, from these different situations that ended up in the system in foster care, they help this woman heal. And it's, it's symbiotic. Everybody helps everybody. But come to think of it, I ended up fostering in my real life, my family, and da-da-da. So here comes this story comes out, and I'm, oh God, you got to get past that. But Saul said all of that to say, he will take everything and choose it for good.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
And the movie did very well. We won lots of awards. And then after that, people started giving me money. I'm like, to make movies, other movies that were, ideas that would pop into my head. So I never thought that I would be a producer, or never wanted to be a producer, or, and he provided everybody around me, an incredible director, this, that, everything within a very close proximity, honey.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, though, that film, now people are giving you money and supporting you, but that first film, was that 100% funded by you? Did you just...
Honey, it was God again, because everybody still wanted to see Miss Clara. So I traveled the country, dressed as Miss Clara, and you could have coffee with Miss Clara, or an evening with Miss Clara. So churches were inviting me all over. Girl, that's how I
out of here.
That's how I did that, honey. They wanted to see more Miss Clara.
Wow.
Yes.
So God used that.
Yes, he did.
The funding that you needed for the next project. Wow.
And you know what? She is the gift that keeps on giving. I'm just saying, she's back in theaters with
the Forge.
Powerful story too. The Kendrick brothers did it again. I just pop in, but it's powerful. The Forge.
Yeah.
Powerful story. And I just got back from Namibia and Zimbabwe. This is might have been the 6th time I've been to Africa, but they're still knowing me from playing Miss Clara in War Room 9 years ago, girl. I'm just saying, you hear me?
Wow. And it's fun to hear you now say, because I told you I've been so excited since we booked this interview. I was like, oh my God. But for you, it's like, oh my God, Miss Clara again. Like, you had to battle through that, but it really was God's provision for you.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I wonder how often that happens, where we're upset with God over something that He's actually using to.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow. 9 years later, it's the gift that keeps on giving. God is good. God is
so good.
So now we have the Forge coming up. We have your children's series.
Yes.
What else? Because as you talk about a lot, God has gifted you in so many ways. Is there anything else that's really on your heart that you like to see come to fruition in your lifetime?
Just everything I pour into the world helps to heal somebody. That it brings some love, some light, some hope. And so that is it with whatever I do. I've got a piece that somebody just optioned called The Healer. And it's a limited TV series. I'll give you a little bit about it. It's a story about a woman, and I'm going to play the role, who she is a psychiatrist, noted worldwide. Everybody knows or respects her. They teach from her books. But baby, she is a staunch atheist, okay? Mm-hmm. And a couple rugs get pulled out from under her. And she tries to end her own life. And the way she tries to do it, anybody else would have been dead. But honey, not only does God save her, He gives her the gift of healing.
Wow.
Whoa. Yes. Wow. So not only is she dealing with all of this, you get to see this character become a believer, you know, and it's not easy. You know, it's not easy because she's fighting left and right and all that. But when it comes all down to it, like, oh my gosh, you know, so it's a roller coaster ride because she's not able to heal everybody when she realizes she wants to do this. You know, maybe she doesn't heal that newborn baby and she has to heal this murderer, you know. But see, God says yes. He says no. He, you know, so it's interesting. It's a wonderful series. Yeah. So somebody optioned it. So hopefully we'll be rolling within 6 months.
In 6 months. So it doesn't sound like you plan on slowing down.
And I need as long as God pours into me. But see, I know to stop and get into my garden. No shoes. And do guys watch this show too?
Yeah.
Well, they can hear this too. No shoes, no bra.
You're just free
No
out there.
gloves in the garden. Out in nature, okay? And so, yeah, because it feeds me. So I have to be out there. I have to hike. He blows my mind with all that nature stuff. Like,
There's something about nature. I was actually
here sometimes. I can be out there weeping, girl, because it's so beautiful. Hard weeping.
I believe it. I believe it. There's something about nature. I was just sharing with someone the other day. They asked me, where do you feel most connected to God? And the number one place for me was in nature. For some reason, it just feels closer. I feel like I can hear. Yeah. And it sounds like it's the same for you, but you're taking it another step. No shoe. Like you're literally connecting skin to the earth. Why do you think that's important? Now I feel like I got to try that. But why do you think that's so important?
It's good.
Well,
there is it's healing. The same, you know, we're all energy. So the same energy that grows grass penetrates our bodies. So it's just healing, you know, energy, the frequencies, all of that. It's alive. So yeah, Native Americans love it. Some people call it grounding. Some people call it earthing. But you know, your back aches sometime. You get out there and lay. Make sure it's safe, no red ants and all this other stuff. And you know, just what it does for the body. You know. Oh yeah.
Now I wonder how many things could be healed by us just connecting.
Yes. Yep.
So much wisdom. I want to talk a little bit about how you decide that you're going to accept a role. Because I would imagine that not all roles you accept. So what is your, maybe this will help somebody that's looking at following your footsteps. Like, how do you decide whether you're going to say yes or no?
Well, it's very interesting because many times you don't get to read the whole script. And I really do. I ask for the script now, but there was a time in my life, girl, when I was just happy to have a job or an opportunity to get a job. I'm just being real.
Yeah.
And then you find out you're in this most beautiful scene, but a couple scenes away when you've left the set, you're not even in the rest of the movie. It's some crazy stuff going on, you know? So prayerfully do the research. People tend to produce the same kind of movies. I did, what was it? Vampire Diaries. I couldn't wait to get down there because I wanted to see what was going on. And I'm glad that I did. I played oncologist, and it was strangest set. They kept it dark, and there was some darkness. I felt darkness. So it was a learning experience.
Would you do it again? Would you do another film like that, you think?
No. If there was a chance, if my character was able to pierce the darkness with light, yes, I'll sign right now. Absolutely. Because, I keep thinking many times, Jesus in the text, man, Jesus and the woman at the well, and I pray for the wisdom and discernment in all cases. And sometimes there will be people that you'll meet. It could be the director or the writer, and then they'll just be moved by something that the Lord sends through you, not you. You're just the vehicle. And that might be the determining factor. Heaven or hell, life or death, light or darkness. But we don't know. So we just have to always be careful.
Mm-hmm. You used a very key word, discernment. Discernment. You're seeking God as you're reviewing these scripts, as you're interacting with people, and you're trying to discern, is this something that I really need to be a part of?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As much as you can. But there was a time when I didn't, girl. I was just like trying to pay rent, Yeah. But and it was interesting because a lot of times I knew I was just as good or better than whoever they hired. But see, sometimes God will hold things back from you to save you.
Uh-oh. That's good. That might be something that blesses somebody. You thinking that, it should have been yours.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was God saying, no, that's not.
And then there have been cases where you hear that it was a nightmare set or the end product. Woo! So yeah.
Gotta trust God. Mm-hmm. That's what I hear you saying is you gotta trust God.
Yeah.
Whatever outcome it is, you gotta trust that it's God's will for you. It's Father knows best, that He's looking out for you. Release it and move on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm always amazed at how quickly our time goes. Let's talk to wrap up our conversation, Karen, about legacy. And I think you've hinted on this in some of the other conversation that we've had today, but when all is said and done, what do you ultimately hope you will leave behind?
Well, I hope that I'm empty, that I have poured out everything He's given me to pour out in this world. And that it is a lot of healing, love, light, people saying, I can, and knowing that they will, I can, I will, I am who He says I am. I can do what He says I can do. Hope and love that knocks down barriers and walls, that agape love, yeah.
Last question. What is your number one piece of advice for someone who wants to make an impact through acting? If you can go back in time, I'm sure there's lots of things that you know now that you didn't know then. If you're mentoring someone else through this conversation, what's your piece of advice that you would give them?
I would say your gift, first be clear that is your calling, because I used to dream about doing other things, but those weren't that's not what God had me here to do. First, get clear on what it is you're here to do. And it's something that comes easy for you, fairly easy, and that brings you absolute joy. And Don't sit on your laurels on your last job, on your last audition. Continue to keep that instrument tuned up. See, for me, acting is worship. Even though I'm doing somebody else's lines or my own lines or whatever, it's first between me and God, the giver of the gift. So it is just absolute worship for me. So you want to pour out excellence. Excellence always. No half, nothing. Excellence always. And yeah. Make sure that you surround yourself with good people doing what it is you want to do. Birds of a feather flock together, but if some birds don't realize they have wings, they'll never get off the ground. You don't want to be there. And you will only fly as high as the flock you're flying with.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's changing the flock of people that you're around.
Oh, yeah.
Game changer for you.
Yeah.